Happy New Year. This new year is going to be interesting. It's a whole year of transformation. We are in a universal 9 year. And if that's not enough, wait, it gets deeper. Today, Astro-Numerology reveals the deeper side of the number nine. Hi, Queen.
Peace and love, Queen. Peace and love. Thank you so much for having me back on Astro-Numerology Revealed.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Welcome back. You always have so much knowledge and wisdom to share. So I'm on the edge of my seat to find out what you have to say to us today about the Universal 9 year. Before we get started, I want you to let people know that are seeing you for the first time who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Queen B, Taylor B. I go by Queen B. I am the founder of BTV, and that's where Black Education Empowers True Vision, where we expose hidden histories and we fight for social justice. And we just have a platform where we do different things with education. We bring different speakers on. I've had you on the show. We have a podcast called Culture where we reflect positive people back to the culture by bringing them on the show and getting them some exposure. And then we do Numbers Matter, which you can see my background here. That's our newest podcast that we do, where we basically look at the patterns of numerology, astro-numerology, and see how they affect our life. So that's the newest podcast. And then we have one other podcast called Justice on Earth, where we look at the 11 areas of activity and we tell stories of injustices, shedding light on them, fighting for justice into this next age of Aquarius that we're about to enter.
That's a lot of work, Queen Bee. Where do you have time to do all of this work?
It is a lot of work. And, I split the time up between some of the shows. Sometimes I'm focusing more a little bit on one show than the other. But right now, when 2025 starts, we're going to kick it into high gear. We have Justice on Earth returning this Thursday, January 2nd. It's going to be live at 10 p.m. on BTV. So I encourage everyone to go follow me on BTV on YouTube so you don't miss that. And then we're actually coming back with Culture Reflections probably in a couple of weeks. I have some amazing entrepreneurs on. That I'm going to be having on the show that I'm excited to introduce to everybody. And I really just like to create a network, Kimberly, of people, like minded people who can really flourish, show who they are, show their talents, their skills. And we really have to support each other. So I like to uplift people that are doing positive things in the culture and, shed light on the things that we need to be aware of, like the moon.
That's the spirit of humanitarianism. Wow. Big
Yes.
shouts out to you. Please go check out Taylor BTV because the channel is interesting. There's so much up there that you can learn from. There's so many ways you can grow, including the newest addition to the channel, and that is the Numerologists, which makes me wonder how on earth did you get into astronumerology?
So that's a funny story, Kimberly. I was looking at this young gentleman on YouTube, and his name is Live with Lloyd. It's the name of his show, and his name is Lloyd Strayhorn. And I heard that he was some type of real famous astronumerologist, and he was offering a professional course. And when I saw that, it just really touched me. And I'm like, this is what I should be doing. This is what I should be doing. I've always had an affinity. toward, the metaphysics. So it was just really natural progression for me to go ahead and take a professional course, to really evolve myself and, raise my own consciousness really, and to help my family really what it was for. And to help the community, because obviously BTV is a community station, where we preface everything around the community. We preserve the culture for the community. So I really wanted to also add a piece to BTV where we could have another angle to reach the community. And this time we're doing it through a spiritual means, which is the best way. Because that's really what we are. We're spiritual beings. So I think this work, you know, if relayed to the community in the right way, they'll really take to it, and it can really be useful and helpful to us. At Numeralytics, we also do like natal numerologics, so we do work with pregnant mothers. We work with parents with young children. Get with me, get your children's numbers, even just their basic personal universal code, their basic frequency, so you can start catering things to the child's strengths, and, buying him the correct toys and putting them in the right settings and not putting them in settings that may not be good for him or conducive for him or her. So I think, if we were to really grab hold of this and start it young like that, we could really build our community and really be I could go from the cultural preservationist to the cultural transformationist. Is what I am. That's my ascension level that I'm doing for BTV, because I've always been dubbed the cultural preservationist. That's my nickname. But I want to ascend higher, so I'm ascending the channel from cultural preservation to cultural transformation. And there's no better time to do that in the 9 universal year.
Yes, we need it in this 9 universal year. You
Yeah.
said something that stood out to me, and I'm going to ask you more about this. The services you're offering, I must commend you on that. Tell me about natal numerology. What do you consult the parents with? How do you consult them?
Okay. So what I do is, I talk with the mother, and we don't know when the baby's going to come. We never know. Baby comes when baby gets ready, right? But what we do is we look at the due date, and then we look at really like that week before and that week after, right? So we look at all of the possibilities there. And what I kind of do with the mother, I say, because usually mothers kind of know what name they want, and they normally have one or two or three names that they want, right? So this is was the case, with the woman that I worked with over the summer. um, and she had about 5 or 6 names that she liked. I did know the baby's due date. It's on another famous person's birthday, August 22nd, that I know. Um, and, so once we knew that, we didn't know exactly when the baby would come, but we start to get the work on working out the names. So what we did was, I worked out the names for the mother. We looked at all of the different energies that surround the frequency of the name, and this really helped her to come to the decision on which name she really resonated with more. And then the reading just solidified it for her more. See, because often with astronumerology, people already normally kind of know these kind of things about themselves, but they don't have the courage to embrace it or accept it in a way. So they kind of need to hear that confirmation from people like me and you, to say, "Hey, this is who you are and what you are, and your frequency." And then like, "Oh yeah, I always felt that," and you kind of get that kind of thing. Yes, you always felt that because we have great power of intuition, so we have to really make sure we're always following our intuition. But yes, that's what we did. So we worked out a couple names. And then what ended up happening is she picked a name, and then the baby ended up coming on the due date. Can you believe it? And I thought that was so interesting because I read, in my studies, because I'm a studier, and I read somewhere that if you name the baby before it comes, the baby picks its due date. So even though, the doctors picked that date, but she picked that name before the baby came. We already worked it out. She picked that name, and then the baby came on the date that the baby was supposed to come on. So it really worked out. And then what ends up happening is I also provide the mother with a keys chart. for the baby. And I give her the instructions and the general reading with that. And then I'm open for questions as she goes along with her child. So as the child gets older, obviously, she may have more questions, and I'm here, for my clients to answer them for them and to kind of guide them in the direction of the frequency that their child is. So I thought it worked out great. She loved it, and I loved it, and it was just something I'm like, I need to do this with all the expecting mothers, or you get, 2 or 3 years old, let's at least give them their frequencies and see what their strengths and their weaknesses are.
And with that date, I said it did work out best.
Yes, it did. He's a little
My
master
question,
builder.
my question is, what was his name number?
His name number?
What is his
Yeah,
name?
you're gonna make me recall. I might have to do it in my head real quick. Hold on.
Ooh,
Yeah, because I don't remember, because it was a while ago, and I did so many names since then. I almost want to say it was a 5,
that
but I
wasn't
don't remember. But I'm gonna do it real quick in my head. Let me see. 2, 1, 6, 7. It was a 5. It was
nice
a 5.
recall. Nice
It
recall.
was a 5. So it worked out well. And really, that's great because that baby's key numbers are the 4, 1, and a 5. So
Yep, and he's
yeah.
going to be awesome.
Yeah, he is. He might be the president
Rulership.
or something, he might do something
That's
really
what I
great like
see.
that. Yeah,
That's
that's
what
what I
I
saw
see.
too.
Those are my predictions.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, this is a winner right here.
I heard you also talk about transformation, something being transformational. When I hear transformation or transformational, one of the things I think about is the number 9. Can you talk about number 9 and how it relates to transformation?
Yeah, I would love to. So yeah, number 9, it really relates to transformation, manifestations, completions, endings, all of those things, right? So when we say transformation, what happens in a 9 universal year, you've gone through your cycle. So you've gone through 1 through 8, okay? Whatever you did not nourish properly and fruitfully through that 1 through 8 and 9, it's going to either come to a head, to an ending. It's going to have to end, or it can be transformed into something that is going to benefit humanity. So transformed into something more universal, that'll help more people, that'll reach more people. So that's where that transformation piece comes in at. Because if you've worked through something through the cycle and you've gone through each of those cycles doing what you were supposed to do with that thing, you're going to be rewarded for that. You're going to see that reward in that 8 year, which is the power year and the harvest year. And then what's going to happen is when you get in that 9 year, it's going to kick itself up a notch, and you're going to be able to either transform that thing into something greater, or it may be where you end that thing to start a whole new thing that maybe has something to do with that, but it's on a grander scale. Okay. Or it could mean your dreams coming true. Like I said, you worked all cycle, so now this is the time to see the fruit of your labor. This is the time to see, hey, people are really caught on to this. And I tell people it often takes a cycle for something to really stick that way, you know. I know people like to start things when you're in that 1 year, and you like to start things. You have all these good, great new ideas, and then it may not grow the way you think it's going, but it's still growing. It's just not what you think because you're not in tune with the frequencies of what's supposed to be happening, right? So as you grow through that and you get to that 9, if you've done what you're supposed to do, your dreams will be fulfilled. Your manifestations will come true. But it can also be transformative. It can transform into something completely different. But generally with the 9, If it's going to be transformative, it's going to transform to the higher level. So that's what we're looking for here. Okay. We want to look for that transformation on that universal level, on that humanitarian level, for the greater good.
A lot of times, Queen, people are afraid of change. And I
Yes.
feel that transformation can only happen if people are willing to change. We have some people that don't like to change and they just hold on to things no matter how they see that they really should let it go. They find it hard time to let go and step on the other side of it. Why, first of all, do you think people feel this way? And number two, how can people avoid it, or what do people need to know about this stage?
So the reason why people don't like change, is because it's change. People like to be comfortable. People, they some people get in their comfort zone and they never want to leave it. But the thing is, when you step outside of that comfort zone, that's when you do see transformation and change. So I think it's often based in fear, which there's a lot of things set up, at least in this country, that are in place to keep us in fear and keep us in guilt and shame, and grief, even upset, anxiety, and those are all lower vibrational frequencies. So when you're operating on that frequency daily, and then you go through a cycle, when you get to nine, nine is so powerful, guys. This is what we really want you to understand. Nine is the most powerful cycle. It's the most powerful frequency because it encompasses all the other numbers. It's the highest base count. It's the highest base number, of a calculation known on earth, you know? So we have to think about how powerful that is. When that nine frequency shows up, it has the potential to smother all other frequencies. Okay. When a nine walks in a room, they have the potential to steal that room. They got that energy. I call it the drama the drama. I call nines drama artistics. Drama artistics. I made the name up. It's like drama artistic because it's like they have the flair for drama, but they're artistic and, they're spiritual, and they're universal and they have that magnetic power. So when we're talking about that frequency, it's strong. So, some people can't handle it, and that's why it's important to know your numbers, know who you are, know what cycle you're in, because that way you can do different things to balance that energy. And then you don't have to be so afraid of it or be so timid when transformation or change is coming because it's inevitable that it's going to come. And not only is it going to come, some of us are going to go through it twice, because you're going to have the universal 9 year, then you're going to have your personal 9 year, where it's going to be more personal to you. So, if you haven't gotten used to it by now, then, I suggest that you contact myself or Miss Kimberly so we can get you in tune with these frequencies so you can get used to it, so you can start operating on the higher side of that nine.
I'm glad you said that because I agree with you. Nine is a very powerful number. And I will say that when I started learning about numerology, the number nine was so scary to me because I was
It's like the big bad wolf.
yeah, it was like the big bad
Yeah.
wolf because I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And I found myself, afraid of it. And now, gratefully, I am at a point where I can see that this is not a negative cycle at all. It's a powerful cycle.
Hmm.
Yes. It's no joke. Yes. But you have to know that all of this that is happening to you, no matter how bad it seems, is happening for your good. It's actually preparing you for something better ahead. And I think a lot of it has to do with the energy of the ruling planet, the planet Mars,
Yes.
and a lot of people, just like people are afraid of the number nine, people are even more afraid of Mars, but
And they
it's the
have every
same.
right to be.
Same thing. So maybe that's why
Yeah.
people are actually afraid. And I used to think like one of the things that people should understand about this energy of the nine is that it's working for your good. It's
Yeah,
helping you grow. It's really helping you grow when you need change. We're not here to stay the same. If you look around and see, we're not the same as who we were when we first came out of the womb.
right.
Like the young gentleman that you said you helped with doing natal astrology, he's not the same now as he was then. And that's the same thing about us. We have to understand that
Right.
we are here to grow.
You're here to grow. Not only that, the universe doesn't stop expanding. You know, so the universe is going to continue. And this is what I kind of like to tell people: don't stay stuck anywhere. You can't change the past. You can only be present in the now and plan for the future. So, I try to tell people, and don't even worry about too much for the planning for the future. You know, pick a nice range that's comfortable to you, and then you plan that future, because sometimes when you try to plan too far, look too far in the future, you give yourself anxiety. So they say looking in the past and dwelling on the past is depression, and looking in the future is anxiety, and being in the present is a present. So you have to stay in the present, and then you just have to understand and have the knowledge. Get in tune with yourself. This is a very spiritual time right now that we're going through, so it's time for people to get in touch with their own spirit and have a relationship with their own spirit. I often say this, Kimberly, and I see it often in adult relationships, even in some of mine friendships. There's several reasons why people grow apart that we could go through. Several reasons could be different cycles. Up cycles could be, their life cycles. So many different things we know, right? Why people can grow apart. Um, but I often tell people one of the main things that I see people doing, even at this age, is trying to kind of put guilt on other people about, lack of, or, whatever unhappiness they might have in that type of relationship with that person. So my thing is, if you feel some type of disconnect, or you feel that, then it's not your duty to come bring that to the other person, because when you do it that way, you're putting them in, you're bringing them down to your vibration of fear and guilt and shame. You see, and that's what a lot of people who aren't in touch with their own spirit, that's what I see of these people. They they bring this stuff to other people, and it brings their vibration down. So people have to be very careful. And this time that we're going into this 9 universal year. Like we said, it's transformations, ending of a cycle, completions, terminations. But it has a higher side. It's humanitarianism, it's brotherly love, universal love at the highest level. 9 is the highest level. So that's the highest elevation of love. Love is the highest elevation of emotional, you know, output that we can do, in this third dimension that we live in this physical body, right? So love is what we all should be attaining, for that unconditional love. And when you don't have a relationship with your own spirit, you become codependent on your outside relationships. And what happens is, everyone's growing and moving in their different cycles through their different time frames. Even that person, but that person may be stuck, emotionally, mentally, or physically, even. Um, and just because that person's stuck, now they'll want to come bring that energy to the person who's moving through their cycle the right way and doing what they're supposed to do, and kind of putting something like guilt on them when they don't know what you don't know what cycle that person's in. That could be a 7 personal year for that person, and they're being introspective and they're doing their self-analysis, and you could be in like a 5 personal year where it's time for you to travel, go have fun, party, be expressive, be, popular, have take risks, you know, so if you're going through a cycle where you're doing all that, but I'm in my introspective cycle, that's really unfair for you or whoever, to come to that person and say, "Oh, well, I feel like this because this." Okay, well, what are you doing about it though? And this is where I'm saying to get in touch with spirit. Get in touch with your own spirit. Because when you get in touch with your own spirit, instead of you sending that text message or sending that message to somebody, you would look in the mirror, like Michael said, Michael Jackson, look at the man in the mirror. You look in the mirror and ask yourself, why do you feel disconnected? Why do you feel this? Why do you feel that? What is your role in this disconnection? Because that's where the real work starts. It starts when we look in the mirror. It starts when we ask ourselves those questions instead of putting that on whatever external force we feel like putting that on for the time. Because it's like an easy target, maybe. So this is the type of stuff that you have to look at in a 9 year, because if this is the type of energy that people are bringing to you in a 9 year, my darling, it is time to let that go. It's time to terminate that relationship. You got to let this person know, hey, this is not working out for me. I'm at this point in my life. I still love you. You're at this point in your life. Let's understand that, and let's allow each other to walk in our own paths. And then, if it's natural for us to come back together, then we will. But you cannot, carry that type of energy and those type of people into this next 9 year, because if you don't get rid of them, the universe will put something in front of both of y'all to make sure it comes to a head.
You said a lot right there, Queen V.
You know I can
You
talk.
said a
You know
lot.
that. You know I can talk.
Yeah, but it's not just talk.
Yeah,
It's real talk.
it's real
So
talk.
it's like um a real understanding of what happens in that universal 9 year, in that universal 9 cycle. And I definitely agree with everything you said. The 9 cycle is that year for you to realize, and this is the time that you become more aware too of those things that you really do need to let go. And you may look at it and think, I didn't feel like this a week ago or a month ago, because that 9 cycle had not started yet. But as soon as that 9 cycle comes, it lets you know who you need to let go of. And I think that's pretty awesome, because it's like you are getting I'm going to show you, but it's up to you to continue on or not. But I'm going to
Right.
show you what's happening and what's holding you back. It's up to you. So I enjoy that part of it too, because there's some things that you really do need to let go of. My next question is, we talked about the 9 universal year. What about the people that have the number 9 in their birth charts? What have you noticed about how their experiences are with that number?
So, I mean, generally, the people with who are number 9 people, they have a great opinion of themselves. 9 people are the captains of their own ship. They're the masters of their own fate. They're very energetic. They are the number of open enemies because they have such a high opinion of themselves that sometimes people would take it as being cocky. But it's not really cocky. It's just they're very confident. And you know, they don't take anybody else's opinion. So if they know they're confident, that's the way a 9 is going to show up. They're full of passion. They're very feisty people. They're independent people. They have a hasty temper, and this is, something that they have to watch. They're very impulsive, and these are the types of things that kind of can get the 9 in trouble. And they're, from what I've noticed, a lot of the 9s, they're fighters. Like, so in their life and their young life, they were fighters. They either, not in the sense that they're always fighting, but sometimes that. But the fighter in the sense that they're like argumentative a little bit. They're a little argumentative, like conflict. So usually in their younger life, they deal with that. They tend to be fighters, and they tend to go through a lot when they're younger with their families. But the strong ones, they make it through because they're very gritty people. So that's what happens with them. And the main thing about them, because health, nine is a health cycle. So with that health cycle with nine, it really talks about, you know, like sharp objects, because nine is the number of fire, of explosions, of guns, knives, any sharp object. You have to be careful. Nine people. So for them, it's really more accidents and injuries and taking care around those sharp objects. Also, watching their temper, and not getting into confrontations, especially on the road. Because nine rules accidents, so road rage can, be a factor for 9 people and for this 9 years. So whatever I'm saying about 9 people, it's gonna be a factor in the 9 years. It's all a part of that frequency. Um, so they really want to watch that, and also watch their alcoholism intake, because nine is the number of alcoholism. And then what tends to happen with nines is, they'll be out having a great time, and then they'll get into a little scuffle, a little fight, and then from there it can go bad. So that's why we recommend, just watch your intake, watch your temper, try to operate on the higher side of that frequency, because you know, as low as the lowest side is, and as low as the vibration can take you, that's as high as you can go, and as beautiful as the higher vibration of that nine is, when used with caution.
You know what's strange? My my son is a 9, but growing up, nobody would have could have told me that he was a 9, because he was like the mama's boy, and he was so quiet and calm, and that was, I guess, because he was in his formative years. But the
Mhm.
closer he gets to his productive cycle, I can be like, yeah, I
You
see
see
that
it. You
coming
see
out.
that.
It's a total difference. And one of the things that I notice about the 9 too is, number 1 is the starter, number 9 is the finisher.
Yes.
And because of the number nine's aggression, and because of their confidence, and um, their impulsiveness, number nines a lot of times don't get it started, but number nines will definitely finish it off.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, but because everybody sees that aggression, they feel as if the number 9 was the
The
starter.
the starter, yes. They often get that, yes. Because
So
when they get mad, it's an explosion,
it's
literally.
no
Because
coming back.
yeah, there it's an explosion, and that's why people gotta be careful with this frequency. Like, don't with the 9, it's like, don't poke the bear. That's the rule with them. Don't poke the bear. you know let them live on the higher side of their life, and let them be universal. Let them be the masters of their fate, the captain of their ship. Why not? They're the 9. They've gone through all the other frequencies in the life cycle, so they've made it to the 9. So I think they deserve a little bit of that, caution and warning. Just don't poke the bear.
And I think they can be like, a lot of the nines that I've met are incredibly sweet. They
Yes.
are incredibly sweet,
Yeah.
but don't get it twisted.
Yeah, don't get that twisted, and don't get on the bad side of that. But they are sweet because 'cause they're universal. Like I said, they have the, power to emit that universal love. So they understand too, lot nines, they'll understand, if there's a problem. They don't wanna see other people hurt, like, they wanna see everybody doing good. So they'll do their best to try to help, but just don't poke them. And I also wanna say about 9, we talked a little bit about the cosmicness of it. With the queen, you're always gonna get some made up words and some acronyms. But yeah, the cosmicness of 9, I like to say, Kimberly, like, people say 9 is the highest, base number, single digit, known to man in every calculation. And we know that when it multiplies or divides by itself, it gives itself. It equals to a 9, right? And I like to tell people that, you know, take a look at the second law of the universe, the law of correspondence, as above, so below, right? That's why 9 is the highest base number, because our solar system has 9 planets, and I often, think, are there other solar systems out there that might have like 12 planets and they look at 12 as a base number? Because that could just be our level of understanding of a base number. We don't really know what other type of mathematics other civilizations might have or how they look at it. But the way I see it, why we have 9 is because we have 9 planets. And also about the 9, which is an interesting fact, as I'll tell you, is it said that the creator came to this planet 9 times, and then when he comes back for his 10th time, that will be the end of existence, known to man. So I thought that was interesting and cool. Just another little tidbit to give you guys about the 9.
That definitely is cool. Um, what about if we know that um, the number that mainly opposes the number 9 is the number 2, and I got a lot of feedback about that on the 9 universal year forecast, and I want to ask you, what do you feel about the opposition of the number 9, or any number for all that matters?
Yes, and we'll recall that when I came on Astro-Numerology the first time, when Kimberly asked me what Astro-Numerology meant to me and what my favorite thing was, I said balancing the opposites, balancing, looking at the law of polarity. That was my answer, and looking at the opposites and seeing, what can we do to tap into this energy that we have all this access to, right? So, what I think about it, Kimberly, first of all, I'll put my business out there. I'm a two person. So, the 9 is in direct opposition to me. It's the first opposition number that I have. And I have a very tumultuous relationship with 9. I will say that I'm often attracted to 9s, and they're attracted to me. So that saying opposites attract is very true. And I don't have a discordant relationship with the 9 people in my life. I actually have a great relationship with them. And this is kind of the basis of how I look at how we can work together, and transform ourselves from the individual, the physical, the individual, the illusion, to the spiritual, the collective, the family, the real. That's the real, right? The spiritual. So the way that I've looked at this and the way that we have to do this is we have to balance everything, right? We got to balance the energy. And the problem with it is people don't know their own energy. They don't know what opposes their energy. So they would never know how to balance it, because you can't know that if you don't have those tools, right? So, this is the thing. So what I say about the 2 and the 9, what we're going to focus is more on the 9, because in the spirit of this being the 9, right? We're going into the 9 year. So what I say about balancing the energy, and this is coming from the numerical standpoint, because we balance energy on every level here at Numeralytics. We balance it astrologically, numerically, and elementally. Okay. So we'll just start, with the numeric one, because that's what we're looking at. So what we want to look at is, you want to look at the individual frequencies of both numbers of the opposite. You want to look at the highs and the lows for both, right? Because you need to know what your opposite is capable of at its lowest. And you definitely to know what it's capable of at its highest. Because what you're going to end up doing, and what we're going to guide you to do, we're going to guide you to tap into the highest vibrations of the opposite. Once you tap into those and tune into them, it's going to automatically propel you to the higher vibration of the 9. And then I'm going to give a small example, right? So, say we have a 9 person, right? Or really any person, but we'll say a 9 person who's being impulsive. They got a quick temper. They're ready to fight everybody. They're being argumentative. They're being narrow minded about stuff. the way that we want to transform that 9 to get out of that low vibration, we're going to show this 9 the higher vibration of the 2. So that's compassion, that's being easygoing, being agreeable, learning to have patience and understanding, being diplomatic and considerate, and being cooperative. So once we can tap into those energies and start showing the 9, hey, this is how you should handle this. These are your key action words for you to do. When they start embodying that energy, it's automatically going to propel them into the higher side of that 9, which emits a frequency of humanitarianism, generosity. It exhibits universal brotherly love. It's inspirational. It's energetic. It's drama artistic. It's spiritual, you know? So this is what we have to do. We have to balance those energies. And once we do that, we've already done the work. We've already done the work. So when we talk about, what we need to do to balance that energy, what I do, and we do this on all three levels, we do it astrologically, numerically, and elementally. So we look at everything in your chart, and then we're going to give you tips on how to balance that energy. And the way that we do that is we balance that energy with the opposite frequency. So we would make sure that that 9 person that came in, they're being impulsive, they have a quick temper, they're ready to fight, argumentative, they're narrow-minded, they're being selfish and aimless and all that kind of stuff. They're all talking no show, they're over emotional. What we're going to do to work with that 9 is we're going to tap into, that opposite energy, right? So we're going to tap into that 2 energy, to that water energy. So we're going to take that fire 9, we're going to look at the water 2, and we're going to tap right into that compassion, the easygoingness of the 2, the diplomatic 2, the 2 that understands, is flexible, adaptable, and agreeable. And what that's going to do is that's going to propel that 9 automatically into the higher vibration of the 9, which emits a frequency of humanitarianism, generosity. They exhibit universal brotherly love. They're inspirational, energetic, charitable, spiritual, dramatistic. Okay, so this is what we do here. So numerically, we're going to have you tap into that higher 2. We may also provide you with the colors of the 2 to help you tap into that 2 energy. We might tell you which crystals work best with the 2, or which crystals work best with the other elements that we're looking at, depending on how we're trying to balance you out. And then we kind of give you these things as actionable steps for you to take. And once you start taking those action steps, that's when you're going to really start seeing a transformation within yourself. You're going to see how easy it is now for you to be naturally vibrating on the higher side of your number. Because when we look at these opposites, everything that's on the high 2 is really it's the high, the 9 is the higher of that. So yeah, so what that does is it gives you, it provides you with that balance. Okay? And then once you activate that, you're like literally working with magic now. So you're
Yeah.
literally into your creative energy. You're using all of the elemental energy in a balanced way, which is how we ascend. This is how we consciously ascend to the next level. So this is what we're doing here, starting out to get people just to understand the frequencies, understand how to balance them. And, 1 week we might work with the numerical proportion of it, and then we might look at the elemental proportion. Or depending on whatever the person's going through, we'll make our assessment on what we feel is the best way to balance this person. And we do that. But ideally, you really should be doing it on all three levels: astrologically, numerically, and elementally.
And I'll just add add to that just a little. I tell people what with 9 energy, when you think about Mars, the planet Mars, it likes to be expressed physically. So
Yes.
these are people that constantly need to be having a workout routine, or if you walk, you jog. Notice Aries, a lot of people that are Aries, they work out a lot, so it's helping you get rid of some of that physical energy. So that
Yes.
can help too.
And what I'll add to that real quick, Queen, not to cut your wisdom, because I'm glad you said that, because it reminded me one of the modalities is to give that nine some of the physical things that we would have the two doing, like go for a swim. See? So now they're incorporating physicality, but they're incorporating that water element to calm that fire down. So there's different things that we do to try to calm that, you got to calm that fire down. So sometimes you got to use water and sometimes you got to use earth or sometimes you have to use air to transform it, but you have to, do that assessment, understand what your numbers are, and then let us work with you to get you to where you need to be. And I want to say one more thing because you were talking about Mars. So what we didn't really talk about is nine and the periods that it covers. So nine, covers two periods of the zodiac. The first house of the zodiac, Mars. I wanted to say about this, Kimberly, which I don't know if anybody ever like paid attention to this, but if you pay attention, nine rules that first house, right? And that's the positive period of Mars. Um, and then nine also rules the second house, which is the negative period, which is Scorpio. What's eight plus one? Nine. So the houses that it rules, it adds up to the nine. This is why it's the cosmic number. It just never ends with this nine. This nine just keeps loving itself and expressing itself in everything that it touches. So I thought that was cool because we have all of these different things that we say about the nine, but we're not even looking at the most basic thing that's right in front of us. Its houses add up to a nine. And then the other thing, let me one more thing, because the queen can talk. So when
Do
we
it,
look at
Queen.
those houses, right? So when we look at that first house of Mars, the first house in Aries, right? So we know that that is when we look at I'm sorry, I'm kind of I lost my train of thought, but you'll fix this. When we look at that first house, we're looking at cardinal fire. That Aries is cardinal fire, right? That means that's impulsive fire that will burn you down. This is the nine energy, guys. This is the power of it. That nine impulsive Aries cardinal energy, it'll start you, it'll start it up, it'll start that fire on you. And then you got the second period of the nine, which is fixed water, Scorpio. That fixed water will drown you. It will drown you. It will create a tsunami wave and it will drown you if you do not know how to navigate those energies of that nine frequency.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too. That's
Mm.
interesting too. Nine has a little bit for everybody.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And when I think about the part you talked about, nine should be aware of alcohol consumption. And to me, that makes perfect sense. When we talk about nine being a fire element, alcohol, that's considered fire too.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, they sometimes people still do put it on the bottle, or they once described it as fire water, or also they described it as spirits. So when you
Mhm.
think about that, you're intaking these things, and if a nine person does not understand and they're already vibrating on that high level and don't understand how to balance that out, then it makes it hard to control that alcohol that is coming in. So I think
Mhm.
that people should very much be in control of who they are, knowing what your numbers are in the
Right.
first place. Like you said, go to um, either you or somebody else, myself, that can help you understand your numbers, because it means more to know. It means more than just knowing my birthday number is this. Okay, your
Right.
birthday number is this, but what does that mean to you?
Right. And how does
Yeah,
that show up for you?
how to
How do you emit that frequency of that number,
true.
you know? And that's where the real work starts. Like I said, now that's you looking at the man in the mirror. And now that's us together saying, hey, this is where you are, this is where you can be, and this is where we can get you if we do these balancing steps. So that it's really important to make sure you know that, and like you said, know and take actionable steps, because it's not just knowing, it's the action behind it.
That's true. You can know it all
Mhm.
day, but until you apply it, you'll get no results.
So I just want to give a quick synopsis, because I know
Okay.
we went through a lot, and but I think it was good, and I think people get the understanding of how powerful this is. But just in case we want to wrap it up, the theme for the nine universal year, I call the universal year because I name all of the years, and I name stuff. I'm the acronym queen. So I love naming things and all that kind of stuff and just making it my own. So I call the nine universal year the cosmic challenge, because it's really challenging us. It's a challenging year. Um, and it's time for us to really reassess and see what we want, what's not serving us, what we need to get rid of. It's like I said, endings, dreams fulfilled, it's inspiration, it's humanitarianism on the higher side. It is an international travel cycle, so we'll probably see a lot more international travel next year. Um, and it is a health cycle, so we want people to take care with accidents, injury, no road raging, no drinking and driving. Don't do that anyway. And then what we do is, we kind of see how we feel in this 9 year. See how the 9 is showing up for us. And then if it's showing up for you and you feel like there's a lot of pressure on you from this 9, come see Miss Kimberly or myself or Lloyd or, anybody that you resonate with. And that's the important thing. A lot of us do this and we're colleagues, but we care more about you than we care about you coming to get something from us. If you can get the message from me and receive it from me, great. If you like the way I do it, great. But if you don't, then you got Miss Kimberly and you got a whole host of other people who you can get this message from. So we just want to let you know that the important thing is for you to get that message. So just make sure you talk to somebody so it can help you get through this 9 year. And then we got to think about this. After this 9 year, we're going into a one universal year, and you really want to be in the correct mindset for that. You want to know what's going on, and you want to be able to take advantage of that, because if you don't take advantage of certain things in a one personal year, you're going to be going through that whole cycle of that 1 to 9, unhappy, confused, nothing's working out for you. It's going to be, there might be hiccups along the way. So you want to make sure you get this information. And I just want to let you guys know that whatever you guys started back in 2017, because that was the beginning of this cycle, that was the one universal year in the beginning of this cycle, you're going to see it either come to manifestation, so your dreams will be fulfilled if you nourished it properly. It may be a transformation of that thing, or it may be time for you to let that thing go. And if it's time for you to let that thing go, you will have the ability to do it in this 9 year. Your affinity and your energy for it, it will be there for you to let it go. Anything that's outgrown, outworn, or outdated must go in a 9 year. The energy of the 9 and the universe is not having it. But I want to let you know, when you have to get rid of things, you cannot do it in a mean, impulsive, quick tempered, ill tempered, negative, argumentative way. Okay. So this is all back to balancing. When you are telling people that, hey, this is not working out in this relationship or whatever the case, you need to approach that situation with all of those high vibrational action words that we gave you for the number 2, because you need to end that with love and brotherhood. That should be your mindset of your actions. Tie those loose ends up, not with bitterness and hatred, but tie it up with compassion, understanding, and being agreeable with people. Be easygoing when you deliver this news to them. And if you do that in this 9 year, you are going to succeed, and you're going to make it through this 9 year without a problem. And that's kind of what I really have to say. I do have one more thing to say, um, but I can say it when I come back, I guess.
What Astro-Numerology revealed to me is that going into the universal, being in the universal 9 year simply means if you're afraid, you're just going to have to change your perspective. This means that instead of looking at what happened to you or what you go through and experience this year and saying, why me? Ask yourself, why am I being forced to move on from this situation?
Mhm.
Change your perspective. How am I growing here? What is this trying to teach me? It doesn't necessarily mean that everything you lose is necessarily a loss.
Right.
Sometimes you can lose something and it's actually a gain. So pay
Right.
attention to what it is that you lose and pay attention to how it's going to help you grow in your life moving forward. Know that this universal season is important. It should not seem scary to you. Don't be like I was at first, afraid of what's going to happen. Go into the year knowing that everything is going to work out in your favor. And that's exactly what is going to happen. Everything is going to work out in your favor. This will be the year that you'll be able to take the training wheels off the bike and you'll be able to ride. That's all it is. You're taking the training wheels
Yep.
off and you're about to ride because you have elevated to another level in your life and you have to elevate along with it. You have to grow with it. So don't look at it as scary. Just take proper precautions and make sure that you are in that compassionate, patient, um, considerate mode this year. Don't go off being all aggressive because the energy may make you feel a little aggressive, but or impulsive, but just be patient and let things just flow and fall away as they do. So, I'm going to ask you for if you have any more closing words, but before I do that, I just want to share a few things with the audience, and you can tell us about these things.
Yes, thank you. So this is a new collection that I've added to Be Smart Clothing. You can go to besmartclothing.com. I do have a sale right now for everyone in Kimberly's audience for Astro-Numerology Revealed. If you go to the site and use code Kimberly, it will give you 20% off, and that's a lot off. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. I think that's going until January 11th or so. It might be going to January 20th, I think, but so make sure you
Queen
take a
B loves us.
yes, I
It
do.
shows.
I
Support
love
Queen B.
Kimberly. Yep. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I said support Queen B. She loves us. She giving us 20% off.
Yes, I love you guys. I love Kimberly. She is my Leo sister. She is my fellow queen and queens up to her. I love her channel. I love her messages and everything she does. So I wanted to make sure that I bear gifts for the new year for the audience. So make sure you guys get over to besmartclothing.com and use code Kimberly, and that'll be 20% off. And you can get the We Are the Bag line. That's the new line. So we have um, hoodies, sweatshirts, and long sleeve shirts for the season. We have necklaces. They're like pendants. And a lot of these are under $20. So, they're good gifts, even if I know the holiday's over, but people still may have some gifts or some birthdays in January. We got socks, and then we have the respect, uplift, love, empower, support. That's our royalty rules. We also just added a new royalty rules to the site. It is for royalty rules righteous, universal, love, energy, and spirit. So that's what that new royalty rules will say when you go on the site, and you'll see that there. Thank you, Miss Kimberly. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. But there's more. What the commercial say? But wait, there's more.
There's more. So, in honor of the number 9 universal year, we will be doing a 18% off of a keys chart. Um, I gotta tell you guys, like everyone that I've made one of these charts for, love them. And each time I go to make one, I kind of reinvent the wheel and I might put different things on there, but it really is catered to you. So what you see on here is the basic things that you'll get. You'll get your astronumeric descriptor, you'll get your and, if, and your keys. So if you guys don't know what that means, your and is your astronumeric description, your if is your individual frequency, just means your birth number, and your keys are your personal. It's your personal universal code to the universe. It's your personal set of car keys to go out into the universe and drive. Because if I go out and I take Kimberly's keys, I'm not going to get very far. But if I take Queen Bee's keys, I'm going to be able to go everywhere I want to go. I'm going to be able to get there on time, and I'm going to know when I should stay home. So your keys are important. It's a very basic reading, but it's very detailed, I will tell you. And we do this with the Chaldean name. There's alternatives to this chart, but these are the basic things that you need to get you started right away. And if you email me for a keys chart, now this one goes to the 11th, the other one goes to the 20th. So I knew it was one or the other. So this is till January 11th. 2025. If you email me that and you say in the subject line Astro-Numerology revealed, you will receive 18% off, and you will receive a keys chart and a personal reading from Queen Bee.
You
Which I
know,
got to tell you, people love these charts. They do.
you know what? I love what you said about the analogy for the keys. Say
Yes.
that again, please.
Yes. Okay. So it's, and if you know your keys, you can go anywhere you want to go, and you're going to get there right on time. And you're going to know when to stay home too and not to use them keys.
I like the part when you said, "Get in the car."
Oh, I yeah, because if I get if I come to your house and visit you and I try to go to the store and I take your car keys but go get in my car, I ain't gonna get there. I'm gonna be stuck in that. I'm gonna be stuck. I'm gonna be stuck in that driveway. We ain't gonna get no food. We gonna be starving. We ain't gonna be getting nothing done. So this is why you need your keys and not Miss Kimberly's keys. You don't need Queen Bee's keys. You need your keys. So hit us up for your keys. Um, and then that even goes further. And if you know your keys and your ops, then you can really go anywhere you want to go. But the ops is a advanced chart. So we still give you ways to balance the energy that we're talking about, but that's where we're going to start at, because we like to start small and give you things that are going to impact you right away. And that's what this
So
is.
we can say that if they know their ops, they know what hood not to go with.
Yes. See, Kimberly, you see, that's the problem when you get two Leos together.
You
And we
know
are
how we
number two and a number four. Forget
do.
about it.
You know how we do.
The superheroes are out.
Even though you negate your four,
I
so
don't. I love my four. You always get on me about that four. I love my four.
yeah.
It's just
Um,
that two. That two is just, but that four is it's there. Just trust me.
I
It's
know.
over. It's overthrowing communities. I'm definitely reversing the role of communities and transformation of communities.
You mean rebellion?
Yeah.
Or
You said that, not me, but yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. My album that I came out, the little warning label that they put on the albums where it says parental advisory. Mine said rebel music warning. It says rebel music.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what you got to do, baby. You got to put it all out there.
Gotta let them know. Gotta let
And I'm
them know.
telling you, because honestly, guys, this is the last, this is our last chance. We're the last generation with a direct connection to expose these injustices that our ancestors went through, that we're still going through. So we're really kind of like the last generation that can really expose it in that way, with the edification, with the history, and bringing everything out. And we're really doing that. I see a lot more than probably what I said in here for the 9 year. But if you guys want to know more about that, you can always visit me on YouTube, at BTV Lytics, or at Numerologists. I'm on YouTube as both, and then you can visit me at either one of those handles. Just look it up and you'll see me pop up. So, and I'm happy to discuss it with you.
And there are other, you have a guest on too,
Yes.
on all of your channels, and you have had numerologists on as well. So check out some of those videos too. They're very good, very interesting.
Yeah,
And
I had this famous numerologist on there. Her name was Kimberly, and she was just fantastic. She was on my cultural reflection show. I had her on there. I had another famous astro-numerologist on there named Lloyd Strayhorn, and I also had another famous astro-numerologist on my show. Her name is Portia Cooper, where she broke down Saturnalia. So we do have some interesting stuff on the show. We do, give a little bit of a different spin, and we have a little bit of a BTV take on some things. But we like to blend those cultures together, for the elevation, spiritually, consciously, and intuitively for our people.
for our people. Thank you so much, Queen B. What would you say astronumerology revealed to you today?
To me, what it revealed to me is that the frequency that we're about to enter into as a collective family is a very strong, potent frequency. But as a human collective family, we have all the tools that we need in our arsenal, and that's our birth chart, that's our numerology chart, and that's our elements that are associated with those things. We have all of the tools we need right there to navigate those waters of that 9 year. And we have all the tools we need to make sure we're balancing energy so we're elevating ourselves to the next level of consciousness, which will ultimately bring us up to the level of consciousness that the planet is naturally elevating to, as above, so below. We have to get into that frequency so we can be the ones that continue out the next mission that's coming with this next cycle, because it's a huge mission that the cosmic family has ahead of it. Um, and I really want us to be aware of that. The last thing that I'll say about 2025 is that when you look at the number 2025, I see a few things. I see a 20 that reduces to a 2, and then I see a 25 that reduces to a 7. So, respectively, that 2 and a 7 are the opposition to the 9. So, like Numerologics says, we have to balance that 9 energy with the opposite 2 and the 7. We didn't get too much into the 7 here, but if you want to know more about that, you come see me at Numerologics and we'll get straight into it with you about that 7 and what you can do to also help balance that 9. The other thing that tells me is that 20 in numerology, it's the number of the awakening. It's the judgment. It's symbolized by a winged angel sounding a trumpet. It's waking people up from the grave. It's mentally elevating them. Okay. That's the energy that we're going into, guys. Don't forget, it's also the age of Aquarius. Okay. So there's a lot going on. So just understand that there's an awakening coming, there's a judgment coming. And that's why it's important for the family to know their numbers and start balancing their energy. So when it comes time, you've built up your consciousness Your aura is protecting you now from all the negativity that can come to you. And then when we look at that 25 to round out that number, that 25 is a number of strength gained through experience and benefits obtained through your observations. Make sure you're looking, listening, and respecting everything around you. That's knowledge. Okay? That's the one. And you do that, you're going to be just fine. Tap into that, okay? And understand that there's a bigger picture ahead, but you are a huge part of that picture. So the more we can do individually to raise our individual consciousness and ascend, we're going to be right there when the planet is ready for us and when it needs us to take action for it. And that's all I got to say. I want to thank Kimberly for having me on. I love Astro-Numerology Revealed. So thank you so much, Queen, for having me on. And I hope I wasn't too dramatic.
It was a pleasure. For me, there's no such thing as being too dramatic.
Me either.
You're right up my alley. No, I want to thank you so much for coming and bringing your wisdom and your sharing your knowledge with us. And you gave us something to really look forward to, something that we can work towards in this universal 9 year. So thank you so much, everyone. Please go out and support Queen B, and I have her information on the bottom of the screen so you can reach out to her. Um, Check out Be Smart Clothing. Be Smart
Yes.
Clothing. Check out her website at Numeralytics Biz, her YouTube channel, and definitely get the moon line.
You got to get that moon line.
Text, yes, 302-492-7722 and hit her up on a Cash App on money sign BTV79. And I'm signing off with you, and you're welcome back anytime, anytime.
Thank you. Thank you, Queen. Queen's up. Peace.
Queens up.